we are talking about inequalities in section 1.5. Give me some words that come to mind when you hear the word inequality. There's probably two very obvious ones. Lilia? Less than? Maddie, did you have a different one?
No, I think there's something.
Oh, okay. Sam?
Greater than.
Good. Lakin?
Equal to.
Right, because we have less than, greater than, and then we have that or equal to option also. Any other words?
I was lost.
I'm talking about the candy you're eating.
Oh.
Think about just some words in English that we use. If you were saying, how many people do you need on a volleyball court? Anybody know? Do you know how many, Maggie?
6.
6? Okay. You need at least 6 people to play. So at least could be talking about an inequality. Or at most. What if I said I can have 30 people in class, but I can't have any more? Can somebody think of how I could word that? If I can have 30 people in class, but I can't have any more than 30 people. Maggie? Okay, I could have a maximum of 30. That's a good word that I didn't even think of. You could talk about maximum values, minimums. I'm going to abbreviate maximum, minimum. Or how about no more than or no less than? These are all just kind of words that you should be hearing and then thinking, oh, I can make that into an inequality. Now, you guys are probably pretty used to inequalities, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Here's a little helpful hint in case nobody's ever told you it before. This is your less than sign, right? Here's a little bit of magic. It's kind of like a cursive L. Remember that one's less than, and of course if that's less than, then this is greater than. Okay, we're beyond the point of the alligator eats the bigger number. All right, we're using less than and greater than, because here we are, very intelligent 10th grade math students. All right, so less than, greater than. When you're graphing these, notice that some have open circles and some have closed circles on the number line. How do we know whether we're going to use an open circle or a closed circle? What determines that? Corey?
If it can be equal to the number.
Then the circle is?
Solid.
Yes, exactly. So it is a closed circle if it is less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to, because that or equal to part is saying, hey, it can be this number or anything above it, or it can be this number and anything below it. But you'll notice that whenever you have just less than or greater than, then it is an open circle. Because those values are not included in your inequality. You start there, and then you either go above or below that number. We're going to make these words into an algebraic expression. Just like we did before, whenever we were doing expressions and doing equations, you're making words into math. A number, so that could just be x and y, whatever variable you want. A number is at least 8. Can anybody think of how to express that with an inequality? A number is at least 8. Corey?
Greater than sign with a line under it.
Good. Your number can be greater than or equal to 8. If it's at least 8, then it can be 9, 10, 11. It can be anything greater than 8. A number less than 13, that pretty much reads directly as you would write it. A number less than 13. A number that is at most 16. The most it can be is 16. Lilia?
And then the less than sign is the final number.
Good. Less than or equal to 16. The next one, a number greater than or equal to 0, again, is pretty much a direct translation. A number greater than or equal to 0. And how about a number that is no more than 22? Who can do that one for me? Zach?
Less than or equal to 22.
Very good. So for our next one, we have a little bit more than just a number. We're adding things to our number. For example, we have 5 fewer than a number is at least 12. So think about kind of breaking up this sentence. 5 fewer than a number, that whole part is talking about your number itself. Is at least 12. At least 12, that's what tells you what your inequality should be doing. So how can we express 5 fewer than a number? Corey?
X minus 5.
Right? So this number, x minus 5, has to be at least 12. At least 12. What inequality sign should we put there? At least 12. So it can be 12 and anything above it. Rachel?
Greater than or equal to.
Very good. The quotient of a number and 3 is no more than 15. So this part right here, the quotient of a number and 3, that's talking about our number. No more than 15, that is talking about our inequality. So the quotient of a number and 3, Lilia?
And divided by 3.
Good. Do you want to finish it off for me?
And is less than or equal to 15.
Very good. If it can't be more than, then it has to be less than. Questions so far? Is this easy? Shake your heads. Yeah, perfect. Your properties of inequalities whenever you are solving are super similar to your properties of regular equations. So you guys are pros at solving regular equations, adding things to both sides, dividing on both sides. You can do the exact same thing with inequalities, but there is one difference. Does anybody remember from probably 2 years ago when you talked about inequalities? Does anybody remember what that special thing is about solving with inequalities? Akram.
What if you have to switch the sign?
Switch the sign when? There's a special case.
It was either with multiplying
It's with both. You're right. It's with both. Multiplying and dividing by a... Anybody remember?
reciprocal.
No, but good try. Multiplying or dividing by a negative. And that is what these two lines are talking about right here. If you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative, you have to switch the inequality sign. if you multiply or divide by a negative, you switch the inequality sign. That is like number one big rule that you need to remember for solving inequalities. There's a poster right up there in the corner that actually has it on there too. Now, we were going to go through a proof of why that happens and why it makes sense to switch the sign. I think we're going to hold off on that for today, just so we can make sure we get through our notes, and we can come back to that tomorrow. I don't know why my graphs ended up looking like this, so we'll have to write them in. Yours are spaced just fine. But for our first graph, we're going to have that k plus 9 is greater than 10. Solve just like you solve a regular equation. Subtract 9 from both sides. K is greater than 1. Would this be an open or a closed circle? Lenny?
Closed. I mean, no. Why did I say that's open?
You're right. On 1, it is greater than, so we need to pick all the values that are greater than 1. They would be to the right side of the graph. So you just do an open circle and then an arrow to the right. The next equation you guys had for B was 3x plus 1 is less than or equal to 7. That's an inequality, not an equation. The next inequality you have. Solve it just like you would a regular equation. Subtracting 1 on both sides. 3x is less than or equal to 6. Dividing by 3. Do I need to switch my sign? No. You're not dividing by a negative. You don't need to switch the sign. You're not dividing by a negative. So x is less than or equal to 2. Everybody tell me, open or closed circle?
Open. Wait, no. Closed.
That was very far from everybody. Let's try that again. Everybody tell me, open or closed circle?
Closed.
Yes, it is a closed circle because if you have that or equal to, it is a closed circle. Less than goes to the left. First step in example C. Lenny.
Track 2.
Good. Lenny?
Divide by 4.
No, not 4.
4b.
Not 4b.
Negative. Oh.
Negative 4. Good.
I'm sorry, I missed mine.
What do I have to do?
Change it.
Change what?
The sign.
Switch the sign. Change the sign. Absolutely. B is greater than negative 3. Open or close circle?
Open.
Greater. Oh, that's not negative 3.
No, it's positive 3.
Negative 3. Greater than negative 3 is going to go to the right. Sometimes we have to do multiple steps before we get to our inequality. We have to distribute negative 6x plus 15 plus 1 is greater than or equal to 4. Combine those like terms. Negative 6x is greater than or equal to negative 12. So what inequality do I have here? X is what? Once I solve this. Corey.
You mean the answer?
Yep.
X is less than or equal to 2.
Very good. Close circle at 2. Less than goes to the left. Distribute in the next question as well. Negative 2x minus 18 plus 5 is greater than or equal to 3. Combine like terms, negative 2x minus 13, greater than or equal to 3. Adding 13, you're solving it just like a regular equation. Negative 2x is greater than or equal to 16. Here's where it's different. Here is where it's not just like a regular equation, because we're dividing by that negative 2. And when you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to switch the inequality sign. X is less than or equal to negative 8. Now, clearly my graph doesn't have a negative 8 on it, so I'm just going to get rid of that graph and make a little one of my own. Open or close circle? Everybody tell me.
Close.
Good. Less than is going to the left. We're comparing two different offers that a movie rental place is doing. And you can do one subscription where you pay $36 a month and you rent as many movies as you want. Or you can pay $15 a month and then pay $1.50 for each movie. So our one option is $36 a month. Our other option is you start by paying $15 and then you pay $1.50 for every movie. Who can make that into an expression for me? 15 plus $1.50 for every additional movie. Kyra?
Would it be 15 times or plus 150 times?
Yeah, perfect. And we'll use M just because M and movie kind of makes sense to use together, but any variable will be okay. So what this is saying is how many movies must you rent in a month for the first plan to cost less than the second plan? Now once you have this set up, all you have to do is solve from here. I'm going to tell you your answer is at least 14 movies, and I want you guys to solve on your own.